Hello everyone, today we're going to be talking about everything I did at Emerald City Comic Con and what I bought, because I bought a lot of comics. And the different creators I met, and yeah, let's just recap the con. So yeah, Emerald City Comic Con just ended. This was the first convention I've been to since 2019 because COVID kind of screwed up a lot of things, and so it was good to be back at a convention, and I got a lot of comic books that I'm excited to show you guys about. But before we get into that, let's talk about the people I met at Emerald City Comic Con, because part of the coolest part about going to conventions is meeting creators. There weren't a whole bunch of creators there because it's still, COVID's still a thing, and a lot of people don't really want to travel and deal with being packed in with a bunch of people at a convention. So there weren't a whole bunch of people, but I did get to meet Jim Lee, which was really cool. That was a private signing. He's been at Emerald City Comic Con like every year that I've gone. This is my 4th time going, and every time I haven't met him because it costs money to meet him and it's like too expensive. But this year I'm like, screw it, I'm gonna bite the bullet. I'm gonna pay for the Jim Lee experience. So I did. So with that, you get 3 of your own items signed. You get 1 print that they provide that he signs, and then you also get a picture with him. And so the 3 items I had him sign were these right here. I got him to sign this. I always wanted to get this book signed because I love this cover, and I just think it looks really cool, and I always wanted to get that signed. I got him to sign this Shazam variant cover that he did, kind of just because I wanted him to sign Jeff Johns' book, and I didn't want it to be Justice League because I didn't really care for it. Him and Jeff Johns' time on Justice League isn't that good in my opinion. Like, it's not terrible, but it was kind of like New 52 not good stuff, So I wasn't the biggest fan of that stuff, so I wanted to get him to sign this, and also something more unique. And then I also got him to sign this issue of X-Men because it's one of my favorite issues that he was a part of, and I thought it was a really cool cover. And so yeah, those were the 3 books I got him to sign. I also here's the print that they gave you. If you went to the screen, if you went to the signing, you got this. So pretty cool print. I did promptly drop it on the street, on the sidewalk in the water right after leaving the con. So that was a bit upsetting. I was just walking and I dropped. I was like, oh no. And it was all wet because it was raining that day because I met him on the Saturday. And it just dropped it face first. And I was like, well, this sucks. But at least the comics are all good. So yeah, I met him. It's a private signing, so they kind of just shuffle you through. You have time basically to ask him 1 question while he's signing your books. The 1 question I asked him was, I asked him how he came up with the design for Zod in For Tomorrow, because if you've read Superman For Tomorrow, you know that the Zod design looks way different than pretty much any other Zod we've gotten before. The suit he wears and also the sort of mad scientist look. So I asked about that, and he said he was inspired by another series. I believe it's called Micronauts is what he said, and that's what inspired him for that. So that was the only question I had time to ask him for. No, I didn't ask him about the publishing side of DC, because when you're at a convention, there's the time to sort of like ask them about cool stuff and ask them about stuff that like positive things. When you're at a convention, you don't go and be like, hey, why'd you screw this up, or why does this thing suck? Like, don't do that. Don't be that person, okay? As much as I'd love to be like, hey, why do you guys deviate from DC Rebirth and Doomsday Clock? That's the direction DC should have gone. That's not the time and place to do that. So don't do that if you're at a convention. Anyways, another creator I met was Sean Gordon Murphy. I got him to sign all the White Knight stuff. So he was super cool to meet, and he also sketched a little Batman on Curse of the White Knight. That was cool. I talked to him a little bit because I got there when there was no one else at his table. I told him I was a big fan. I was really nervous meeting him because that was the first person I met at the con. Basically, how I go at the con is the first person I meet is like when I'm really nervous, and then I kind of get over it, and then I'm good. For the next, whatever creators I meet after that, I'm good, I'm smooth, everything's going great. But the first person I meet of the day, like, it's always like I'm a little like nervous and everything, like stuttering over my words. And sadly, that was when I met Sean Gordon Murphy, because I meant to tell him that I loved what he did with Harley Quinn in the first book, because I loved how he had classic Harley Quinn come back and beat up New 52 Harley Quinn. But I didn't get to say that. But I told him that I really liked the books, and that I was happy with what he's been doing with Batman. I thought it was unique how he made Batman sort of the villain in the first volume, because I was saying I'm a huge Superman fan, and you see Superman as the villain all the time, but you don't see that with Batman. He was like, well, funny you should say that, because the next volume is going to be Batman Beyond the White Knight, so it's his version of Batman Beyond. He said at the end of that, I'm going to be introducing Superman. Superman's going to be like 20, and Batman's going to be like 65, and he's not really going to like Superman. So I'm like, oh, that's cool. I'm excited to see what you do with Superman. So yeah, it was really cool meeting Sean Gordon Murphy. He was great. He was really cool. And yeah, that was it for the creators I met, because I wanted to meet Donny Cates, but he was only there on the Friday, and when I went by, his line was huge, and so I'm like, oh, I'll come back later. I came back later, and he was gone. And so didn't get to meet Donny Cates. And Liam Sharp I wanted to meet, but he was always busy. He was always sketching something or had someone talking his ear off or had a line, so I didn't get to meet Liam Sharp either. But I did get to meet Sean Gordon Murphy and Jim Lee, so that was really cool. Those are two guys I really wanted to meet. But anyways, I also met Hayden Christensen, Anakin Skywalker. That was me and 3 other people. Just we went and we combined our money to pay for that because it's like $200-something. If you're just one person, you want to get a picture with Hayden Christensen, it's like $200. And so instead, you know, we split amongst the 4 of us, so that way it wasn't near as expensive, and that was cool. Basically didn't really get to say much to him. I just went up, I was like, hi. He was like, hi. I said, could you force choke the 4 of us? And he laughed. He's like, yeah. And then he force choked us, and that's it. So that was cool. So now we're done with the talking about the creators I met and Anakin Skywalker. Let's get on to the comics I got, because I got a ton. I got a lot of stuff. So we have Green Lantern Earth 1. Never read it, but I thought it looked interesting, and I always did want to read it when it got announced. And this I got it for like $10 too, so that was like super cheap. Got Grant Morrison's JLA Volume 1, so I've already read some of this in back issues before, but I always wanted the collection, so they had that there for super cheap. Got that. Wolverine Epic Collection, another book I got really cheap. Happy about that. Wolverine Weapon X Unbound, more of the Larry Hama Silvestri stuff. Got Jeff Johns Flash, Volume 1 and 2, the collections that DC reprinted a few years ago. Happy to have that, or actually not too long ago. So yeah, I saw that there. It was like 25% off normal price, and I was like, heck yeah, I'll check that out. I already have some of Jeff Johns' Flash work, and I love it. I'm like, I'll definitely get those 2 volumes. Got Volume 1, New 52 Flash. I love Francis Manipool, and I've heard decent things about this. I never really checked it out, and this was like $5, so I'm like, yeah, I'll definitely how it is. Transmetropolitan Volume 1. I've heard great things about this, never read it, always wanted to, just never got around to it, and it was super cheap, so I'm like, yeah, I'll get that. Spider-Man 2099 Classic, got some Peter David Spider-Man 2099 in here. I've read some Spider-Man 2099, but not much, so I'm like, oh, I'll definitely check this out, because again, it's super cheap. Got Nightwing Volumes 5 through 8 from Chuck Dixon and Scott McDaniel's run on the character. So I have volumes 1 through 3 already, and they didn't have volume 4, sadly. So that's all I'm missing, I believe, now from this collection to have all the trades. I just need volume 4. So yeah, these were all like 25% off. So I was like, yep, I'll get those. And then we have X-Men Days of Future Past, which I've owned digital for years now, but I always wanted to have it physical, and they had it there for super cheap, so I got that. Mystique by Brian K. Vaughan. Mystique is a character that I think is severely underrated. She's one of my favorite X-Men villains. I think she's really cool, and I didn't know Brian K. Vaughan wrote a series for her, so I'm like, I'll definitely check that out and see how it is. So that's it for the trade / hardcovers. That's a lot of books, and so I have a lot of reading to do, but that's not all. That's just all the trades and hardcovers, not all the single issues. So let's get into the single issues. Starting out with Deathstroke. So I have most of Marv Wolfman's Deathstroke run, and I have some of these issues that I got today already digital, but I was missing about like 11 issues, and so I went and I'm like, I'm just going to fill all the holes in my Deathstroke run. So that's what I did. So now I have every single issue ever printed of Marv Wolfman's Deathstroke, so I'm happy about that. Even though, like I said, like the run's great up until really the Hunted story arc, and then it's not too good. But up until then, it's a great book. But I was like, screw it. It's only 58 issue run. I want to get the 11 issues I'm missing, so I did. So here's the issues that I got. Some cool covers in here. Some very 90s covers. Boom. Look at all that. These are like so 90s. Here's that's all I was missing. So now I'm no longer missing any of these issues, so I'm happy about that. I got some just random ass Superman, like Action Comics and stuff, back issues that I thought looked cool, and I was like, oh, I'll check those out. So that's what these are right here. And Superman, man. I believe I have some of these I know in like random trade stories already, but I'm happy to have the single issues now as well. I love a good Parasite story, and it's around Christmas, so yeah, I had to pick that up. Yeah, I just love some of these older crazy covers. So there we go for the Superman issues that I picked up. I picked up a few Jonah Hex books. I love picking up these random Jonah Hex back issues because they have like the best covers. This, Bada bing, bada boom. And most of them, he's like always like shirtless knife fighting someone. I love this cover. I tweeted out about this cover. I think this is a really cool cover. And this, I believe, is actually like a parody of like a Superman cover, I believe. And boom. Then I got some G.I. Joe books, because you guys have been around the channel for a bit. You know I love G.I. Joe. Got European missions, which is obviously the G.I. Joe stuff to appeal to the European crowd. We got some G.I. Joe vs. Transformers stuff. Snake Eyes book. I think I might already have this issue. I wasn't sure, but I was like, screw it, I'll get it. Got a single Iron Fist issue, just because him versus Batroc the Leaper, and I like the cover, and I was like, oh, I'll check that out. That was like the first book I actually picked up at the con. You know, a 2-part Hawkeye storyline. It's written by the co-creator of Deadpool, Fabian Nasu. I never know how to pronounce his last name, but either way, I didn't know he wrote Hawkeye. He had a run on him, and this is like a 2-part story he did, so I was like, I will definitely check that out. Something that I already owned, but I don't have up here in Washington, is JT Kroll's run on Green Arrow during like the brightest day. This is what really got me into Green Arrow. I already liked Green Arrow prior to this, but this is what really got me into the character and wanted me to read. It made me want to read more Green Arrow, was JT Kroll's run during the brightest day Green Arrow stuff. And so I got those 12 issues. I freaking already had these in Florida, but that's back at my dad's house, and I didn't get to bring them out here or ship them to me in Washington. So I found these at the con. I'm like, I will definitely get those because I want to read that story because I love that story. We got one random Wolverine back issue because Wolverine versus Deadpool, and I was like, we'll check that out. More back issues that I already had, but I don't think I have up here. I might have these up here, but I'm not sure. I didn't check, but I saw them at the con. I'm like, I gotta get them. This Nightwing story involving Vigilante is really good, and I love it. And I'm like, I want to reread that. It's Marv Wolfman writing at Nightwing, the character he created. Okay, Nightwing, not Dick Grayson. But yeah, that's it. I spent a lot of money at the con, but also all this stuff is way cheaper than it would be anywhere else. That's one of the fun parts about going to conventions. You have stuff marked off way cheaper. Not necessarily the back issues. A lot of the back issues are generally like similarly priced where you'd find them anywhere else, except for some. Some have them actually cheaper. But the trades and the hardcovers is where you get actually like good deals. That's where you get stuff like way cheaper than you would like online or in store, generally speaking. So yeah, that's it for my Emerald City Comic Con recap. I had a lot of fun. I can't wait to go back next year. And yeah, hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you did, please give it a like. And if you want to help with the YouTube algorithm, leave a comment. And I'll see you guys later.
Hey, skinny boy, saucy boy, I be running to the bank. Yeah, you know I hit the gas in the whip full tank. Riding past the ocean while I'm listening to Frank.